Welcome to Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of the present, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes the painful truth. Sometimes, the more you give, the less you're valued. A woman can enjoy your presence, your love, your loyalty, and yet still take you for granted. But here's the twist. When that same man finally walks away, that's when she begins to feel the weight of what she lost. In this video, we're diving deep into how women eventually start missing the very man they overlooked, the man they thought would always be there. If you find value here, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, because what you'll learn today might just change the way you see yourself forever. Chapter 1. Why Women Take Good Men for Granted. It's one of life's cruel paradoxes. Many times, the man who gives the most ends up being the one valued the least. Why? Because consistency, kindness, and loyalty can be mistaken for weakness in today's society. A man who is steady, who shows up day after day, becomes a fixture in her life. And like all fixtures, she assumes he'll always be there. The truth is, human nature craves novelty. People often don't recognize the treasure they hold because they've grown so accustomed to it. The good man's love becomes the air she breathes, essential yet invisible. She stops noticing the effort, the sacrifices, the patience, and the presence until the day it's no longer there. Think about history. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the fleeting nature of life, urging us to value what we have before it disappears. Yet in relationships, women sometimes forget this principle. They assume the strong, reliable man will always remain within reach. They test his patience, push his boundaries, and sometimes take advantage of his loyalty. But here's the hard truth. Being taken for granted is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of her blindness. And it's only after the steady flame is extinguished that she realizes how cold the darkness feels. So when a woman loses a man who was genuine, who gave without hidden motives, she doesn't immediately feel the loss, but slowly, quietly, life reminds her of what she squandered, and that's when regret begins to creep in. Drop a comment below. Have you ever felt undervalued despite giving your best? Chapter 2. The Silent Shift. When she begins to miss what she lost. At first, she doesn't notice. When you pull away, she may even feel a false sense of freedom, believing she can do better, thinking she's upgraded her life by losing the man who once gave her everything. But time has a way of exposing illusions. It starts subtly. She hears a joke from another man, but it doesn't hit the same way yours did. She remembers how you always checked if she made it home safe. And suddenly, the silence of her phone feels heavier than she expected. Little by little, reality begins to cut through the fog of her pride. This is the silent shift, the moment she realizes that not every man will care the way you did. Not every man will show patience with her moods, or respect her boundaries, or invest in her dreams. What she thought was ordinary, your loyalty, your presence, your consistency, was in fact extraordinary. Here's the irony. The more she compares, the more she misses you. The conversations aren't as deep, the laughter isn't as genuine, the trust isn't as strong, and she begins to replay old memories, only now seeing them in a new light. That's when the regret digs deeper, because she understands too late that she mistook rare for common. History has shown us this pattern. When the Roman Empire fell, the people who lived in its glory only then realized the comfort, order, and stability they once mocked were treasures they would never fully reclaim. Likewise, a woman often fails to see the greatness of the man beside her until she experiences life without him. And here's what stings her the most. It's not that she simply misses a man, she misses you. The unique energy, the depth, the presence that can't be replaced by anyone else. Share your thoughts below. Do you believe people only realize someone's value after they're gone? Chapter 3. The Lessons. Men must learn from being undervalued. For every man who has been taken for granted, there comes a moment of awakening. It hurts when your love, loyalty, and effort are not appreciated, but pain is a teacher. It shows you what you must never forget. The first lesson is this: never beg to be valued. A man who pleads for recognition only lowers his own worth. Respect isn't demanded with words, it's commanded through presence, through boundaries, and through the courage to walk away when you're no longer respected. The second lesson is this: your time and energy are sacred. Women may overlook your effort, but you must never overlook yourself. When you realize that being taken for granted isn't about you being not enough, but about her blindness, you reclaim your power. The third lesson is this: detachment is strength. Not the cold, bitter detachment of resentment, but the calm detachment of a man who knows his value with or without her recognition. This is the essence of Stoicism, to master your emotions rather than being mastered by them. History reminds us of this truth. The samurai of ancient Japan lived by a code that valued honor above all. If their loyalty was dismissed or betrayed, they did not cling to those who disrespected them. They carried themselves with dignity, knowing their worth was not dictated by others. Men today must learn the same. Your self-respect must never be negotiable. When a woman takes you for granted, she's writing her own story of regret. But your story doesn't end there. Your lesson is to rise, to grow, and to carry forward with even greater strength. Let's talk in the comments. What's the greatest lesson you've learned from being undervalued? Chapter 4. Turning pain into power. There's a point every strong man reaches, the realization that pain doesn't have to break him. It can build him. When a woman takes you for granted and you finally walk away, the sting you feel is not the end. It's the beginning of your rebirth. Too many men waste months, even years, trapped in bitterness, replaying the same betrayal over and over. But the wise man, the Stoic man, takes that hurt and forges it into armor. He doesn't just survive the disappointment, he transforms because of it. Here's how. First, he reinvests in himself. The energy once spent trying to prove his worth is redirected into growth, building his body, sharpening his mind, strengthening his spirit. Suddenly, he's no longer chasing validation, he's pursuing mastery. Second, he develops unshakable standards. A man who has tasted the bitterness of being taken for granted learns to guard his presence. He no longer gives freely to those who don't appreciate it. His time, his love, his loyalty become privileges, not handouts. Third, he embodies presence and calm. He no longer fears loss because he knows he can stand on his own. This is where true masculine strength is born, not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. History has countless examples of men who turned rejection into power. Think of Seneca, who endured exile and disgrace, yet returned stronger, writing wisdom that still shapes the world centuries later. Origin of warriors who lost battles but used defeat as the fire to sharpen their discipline and reclaim victory. When you transform your pain into power, something incredible happens. The very people who overlooked you will look back with regret, and you'll no longer care. Because the man you've become is far greater than the one they failed to appreciate. Drop a comment below. How have you turned your past pain into strength today? Brother, remember this. When you are taken for granted, it is not a sign that you are small. It is proof that they were blind to greatness standing right in front of them. The strongest men do not chase recognition, they embody it. They do not demand respect. They live in such a way that respect becomes the only natural response. So let her miss you, let her regret. That is not your burden to carry anymore. Your focus is growth, discipline, and becoming unshakable in a world that constantly tests you. Every setback, every heartbreak, every disappointment, these are not curses, they are tools. They sharpen you, refine you, and forge the kind of man who cannot be broken. Here in the Stoic Golden Tribe, we remind men like you of a timeless truth. Your value is not determined by who stays or who leaves. Your value is eternal, rooted in strength, wisdom, and the unshakable presence you carry as a man. If this message resonated with you, don't just leave quietly. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Join this brotherhood where we rise above the lies of modern society and reclaim the power that was always ours. Because in the end, the man who was once taken for granted becomes the man who is remembered, respected, and never forgotten.